Nigeria's humanitarian ministry has not done well. Names submitted do not receive support. Honorable Ned Nwoko, a member of the Nigerian House of Representatives, criticizes the performance of Nigeria's humanitarian ministry. Nwoko states that the ministry has not done well in addressing humanitarian issues. He claims that names submitted for support do not receive assistance. He expresses disappointment with the ministry's handling of humanitarian crisis. I am super interested in this humanitarian affairs ministries because I'm wondering that a ministry that is actually supposed to be putting a smile on the face of Nigerians is actually multiplying their sufferings. Since January or February thereabouts, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Betta Edu, was sacked from her duties because she embezzled 500 billion naira. And here we are from February down to August. There's nobody handling that ministry, and it is normal for anybody to raise alarm as regards to what exactly is ongoing in that ministry, because the ministry is actually supposed to be caring for the internally displaced person, caring for the needy, caring for the aged, and all of that. But that is not the reality of Nigerian right now. And I would just like to get your quick thoughts on your general overview as regards to the activities ongoing in the humanitarian ministry. Do you think the activities in the ministry has lingered from February up until now, do you think the ministry should still be functioning, or should it be scrapped, or should it be merged? Should another ministry be replaced, or shouldn't they have fixing someone to replace Betta Edu after a long time? And here we are talking about it. So what are your general overview as to the story?
Well, one thing I will first of all say is there must be a reason why there is no replacement yet, because it cannot be said that there is nobody fit to occupy that position. Of course, we've seen how people have been sacked and immediately replaced. So it can't be said that there is nobody capable to fit in that ministry. Now, talking about what Ned Nwokoye is saying, you see, one thing I know is that under this administration, we've seen a lot of blame game. He's not exonerated from all that is happening in the country. But that is not where I'm going to. Where I want to go into is, why go to TV station to condemn this person? The department is under authority. And I'm sure if the department is not functioning well, or whoever is heading that department is not functioning well, they are not an autonomy. They are not operating as a separate body. All right, there is a higher authority that can call them to order. If money has been disbursed for the people and it is not well used, I believe that person who manages the affairs of that ministry should be accountable to somebody higher in authority. So I'm sure, because there is a time we took a story on this table where one of the politicians, say that when they steal, these people have said so many things that shouldn't even be said on air. That when they steal, that is not only them. When one person steals, there are other people that benefit from it. That was what that politician said. And I say that if there is accountability system under this administration, you cannot say that somebody you assign a duty to is not carrying out that duty function properly well, and that person is not being cautioned. The person that was sacked for embezzlement, what has been done to the person? What has been done to recover the money? Because it cannot be said that the money has been finished or has been spent. Right? To me, I see that this thing is coming. Like I will always tell you, Buhari, of the former president, say something, say from head to bottom. That is what is happening. Under this administration, the corruption, all these issues we're having is coming from the head to bottom, sincerely. Because that ministry is not a tree, it's a branch in a tree. So it can be called to order if things are not going well.
All right. On this note, I think it is a good time to actually reference the video Ned Nwoko's interview with Arise TV, he mentioned something outside the fact that the humanitarian ministry is not functioning. He also highlighted the fact that there is enough money. And,
thank you.
He highlighted that fact, and I think it is a good time to
confidentially.
It is a good time to look at the video. Then we come back to other part of the story. You talked about somebody being retrenched because of embezzlement. There ought to have been a replacement. Recently, the Director General of DSS and NIA were sacked, and new persons were replaced with to fill in for that position. When the CJN retrenched, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, immediately Ekere Ekun was sworn in. So we are wondering why there's so much delay as regards to what is happening in the humanitarian ministry. So very quickly, let's have the video of Ned Nwoko's interview at Arise TV.
We don't have money in Nigeria, but we do have money in Nigeria.
Yeah, but we don't have it.
All I'm talking about is that there should be some redistribution of this money. So if you're taking 5% from this first line charge from the Federation account, where money is shared every month to the local government, states, and federal government, you just take 5% of that money at source and put into that particular fund. Then every worker across board, whoever you are, you also contribute 5% of your
but isn't that
income.
Already happening
listen to the
in
details.
This country?
Then all other businesses, I'm looking at some kind of a plan that is meant to solve some very, very difficult problems in Nigeria.
No, I understand that.
So if we take those contributions and put in the fund, we are redistributing the funds, the money available in the system. Because if you let the money go to the local governments, go to the states, go to federal government, most of it are also...
That's why you're recommending that it be under the presidency, basically.
Yes. So if we have those steady income going into the fund that is managed not through any ministry, directly under the presidency, who wants to achieve some result, who wants to make a difference, the money will be there. And then people stop blaming chairmen, they stop blaming governors, they stop blaming the president, because the money will be there for those class of people that need money. They need money to survive, as I said before. Look, put it this way, if at the end of every week, some guy who is disabled or somebody who is unemployed gets, 50,000 naira or 100,000 naira, at least, you cut down on the possibility of frauds and of possibility of crime. Because,
and there is the important aspect of dignity, isn't there?
Of course, when people know that some money is coming, they wait. They won't become desperate as to steal or become involved in crime or whatever it is. And they know it's the entitlement. Just take, for example, when you have displaced people in various camps, they have no means of surviving other than just those handouts. But if people have their expected income every week, and there's a problem in a particular area, they can easily leave that area, go to another area, because they have their credit card, and they know that money is coming at the end of every week. They don't have to be clustered in somewhere where they are treated like animals.
And this is what happens in the West, of course.
Of course,
yes. If you lose your job, you don't kneel down and start praying to God. You go to the unemployment office, you sign on, they start to pay.
Precisely, they'll pay you. That's why those who are working should also be benevolent enough to say, okay, you know what, we're working, we can make 5% contribution towards this fund.
And that also goes to them when they retire.
Oh, of course. It goes to them
so
when
it's
they
not
retire.
Just them doing something.
Or it goes to them if they become unemployed.
Yeah.
Do you understand that? So if you have been working and you have not made any contribution to that fund, and you become unemployed, you cannot be entitled to receive any support from that fund. It's a very simple thing.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be.
All right, Ned Nwoko is emphasizing on social security funds. Like I said, we'll reference his video and look at other parts of the ministry. part of the duties that this humanitarian ministry is supposed to be looking at, all of those things that Nedunwoko is highlighting, it is actually the responsibility of that ministry to say that we have the number of displaced persons. Nedunwoko talk about unemployment. People get unemployed, they lose their job and they begin to think, or they begin to pray to God, why I need a better job. But there's actually a system that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs can actually introduce and say that while you have your employment, you have a percentage that is coming into the federation's account. Whenever you lose your job or you retire from office, you have access to that money. That is outside of your retirement plan. And I think this can as well serve for people who are working with private organizations. You are not working as a public servant, but at the end of your service year, you have a certain amount of money that is coming back to you outside of whatever pension it is the organization you work with are going to pay you. So I want to hear your thoughts first on the first statement that he made, that there is more than enough money in Nigeria to do all of these things. What do you deduce out of this? And how would you react to how the Nigerian government has been treating the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs? Should we conclude that the Nigerian government are not really interested in the number of internally displaced persons we have in Nigeria? Do you think they are not interested in social security in Nigeria? I want to hear your reaction on that.
Well, there are a lot to talk about. There are a lot of points to pick from what Ned Nwoko has said. Talking about their intention or what they think they should do to internally displaced person. What do you say of a government which is busy building displacement centers? Of course, for that structure to have been in place, and increasingly, it means they are not even working towards ensuring that people return back and people that they give the normal attention to the people. Ned Nwoko has not said something that is different from the truth. We know that there is money in the country. All right, we know an oil-blessed nation should not be said there is no money. We know that there is money. He just came out to let the people to know that, of course, as a person in power, that there is money in the country. You see, I'm not going to clap for Ned Nwoko here. I'm not going to clap for him. He has been as a senator. I think this should be his third tenure. Talking about employment and all that, what can he boast of in his own constituency? So it's not about coming out. Talking is cheap. Anybody can come out and say anything. All right. If he's condemning somebody's action, another department, another segment of the government, how well is he managing his own segment, the corridor he's occupying? One thing I want to say is about this Department of Humanitarian and how they are not being properly treated. If there is nothing fishery, if there's nothing, somebody, because all the department, all the ministry are under the control of, there's somebody on top, on top to oversee the affairs of this thing, and they know the importance of this ministry to the people in government. All right, so I believe that if there is nothing, first, if there is no reason, there should have been replacement by now. Second, if there is no reason, the affairs of that department will not be silenced, just as if like the case of Fubara and Wike, over the months that have been lingering, and the federal government have not said anything, as if they are not noticing the distraction the torso is giving the governor. All right. So if there is no reason, I believe that attention would have been given, because it cannot be said that they are not aware of what is happening and the importance of the ministry. So I think some people are benefiting from what is happening in the ministry. And I tell you, if there are no people benefiting, of course, somebody who has been proven to have embezzled whooping sum of the amount that the former minister has been embezzled, there should have been something done to ensure that money, if not all, is being recovered. All right. So I believe that some people are benefit. Sometimes during coronavirus, some people were wishing that coronavirus should not go because they are benefiting from it. All right. So I think some people are benefiting, and that is why they are not willing to do anything. There are so many people. They are creating new ministries, and the one that is existing had no head. and they are not doing anything about it. You want to tell me there is nobody capable of handling? Even if there's nobody capable, we have seen and discussed on these decks where businessmen were elected or chosen to head related ministry or department, something that is not connected to what they know how to do. So I believe that if they really want to fix somebody, even if it is someone that have no idea, they can fix somebody there.
Yeah,
Right?
there has been a lot of pertinent questions in my heart as regards to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Okay, there was a recent case that the Minister of Women Affairs trashed recently of a lady who had gone to visit a mother who was mentally deranged, and while she was there, she went with a cameraman, and they make a content out of that scene, and she gave food to her mother, and she was talking about how long the mother has been mentally deranged with no help for her and all of that. Then the Minister of Women Affairs came out to condemn the act, that you don't use somebody who is mentally deranged as content. But the lady had said it apparently that she was seeking help for her mother and all of that. Now you look at the reaction from the Minister of Women Affairs. As much as it is women that are involved in this case, it is not the duty of the Minister of Women Affairs to come and condemn what she has done.
That is saddled with the responsibility of seeing to the affairs of the people. All right. So they're not giving attention to the Ministry of Humanitarian is a proof, a very clear proof that they are not committed to serving the people. Now, talking about taking this conversation further, I want to talk about even when the leader was there. All right, the money he embezzled I'm sure it was mainly meant to serve the people. So it means that even the former minister was not equally carrying out his duty. Now, how did he get into that position? How did he get in there? Who is superior to him? I mean, who oversee the affairs of that ministry that ensure that any money given out is actually utilized for its purpose? Who is in charge of that? Who are the people? So you discover that, talking about the fate of Nigerians, I will tell you that this administration is not bent on serving the people. They don't listen to the people. They don't hear the cry of the people. It does not mean anything to them.
If they don't do that, it means the ministry is then political. That means the ministry is actually not serving the people.
How many of the ministry in under this administration, how many of the ministry that have been created currently or that is in existence are serving their actual purpose? If all the ministries are serving their actual purpose, then Nigeria won't be crying most of the cries. They are crying now. All right, so it is clear. Aside the humanitarian department is not the only department that should take care about the needs of the people. Just that it is saddled majorly with responsibility of seeing to the affairs of the people, especially the internally displaced people. Because sometimes when we want to talk about people vulnerability, I will tell you that almost every Nigerian is vulnerable at this moment. So that department, if there is nothing, in as much as there is no head now, don't be surprised that money is still being disbursed for that department, for that ministry. Under this administration, a lot of irregularities, abnormalities, a lot of unconstitutional policies have been endorsed, and I begin to wonder: does these people have conscience at all? As in, do they care of what happened to them after their years in office? The ministry is supposed to be serving so many purposes that the people will benefit from. Of course, when we talk about hunger in the land and so many things, they should be taking care of it in their various areas. But you can see that they are not doing that because from the top, there is no system that is even checkmating. Should there be somebody there tomorrow as the leader, there is no system that is checkmating whoever that is being placed there or whoever finds herself in that position to function.
All right. Okay. On a final note, moving forward, do you think this ministry should still be existing, or there should be a replacement? If at all there's going to be a replacement, what reforms do you think should be put in place to ensure that the ministry is serving its purpose? It is functioning just as the name implies, humanitarian affairs.
Well, constitutionally, the ministry should be functioning. All right. As a matter of fact, if in a country where we have the office of the first lady, so how then shouldn't we have humanitarian ministry? All right. But the thing is that there is no way there is going to be a reform when there is no system that ensures that even other sectors are functioning for their purposes. On a norm, we should have people who are empathic. Anybody occupying that position should be somebody who has conscience. But how do we get people in there? Our own person, somebody that you want to be there, somebody you can manipulate, somebody you can influence his action or her action, somebody you can tell how to disburse money. All right, because the only reason why somebody will be doing something wrong and everybody know that what this person is doing is wrong and nothing is being done to that person is because those who should carry out those exercises are in collaboration. Let me borrow the word of the Senate President. Are in collaboration with that person. So moving forward, in as much as that ministry cannot be scrapped off, what the government should do, what this administration should do, is to ensure that the right person is there, is to ensure that as soon as possible, they fix in somebody for the leadership of that ministry so that they can start functioning. And the money that was embezzled is not a personal money. It's not Mr. President's money, it's the Nigerian money. So they should go out and recover it. That money has not been lavished. That money has not been squandered. Let them go out and recover the money so that whoever is going to come into that office will not have the urge to do the same thing that the former minister did.
All right. So, on a final note, what we are seeing with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is that the ministry that is supposed to be alleviating poverty for Nigerians, that is the word, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and alleviation of poverty, is actually further making it difficult for Nigerians to survive out of poverty. The ministry is actually has lost its relevance because it is no longer addressing the need of Nigerians. Because as it is, with the rate at which Nigerians are clamoring, talking about the need for provision of food, and Nigerians are saying they do not want palliative. It is actually the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs that is supposed to be looking at ways in which they are going to curb poverty and as well put an end to poverty in Nigeria. And the ineffectiveness of this ministry is actually opening up a lot of vulnerable Nigerians to the vulnerable population to receiving necessary support. The support that they are supposed to be receiving at this time, they are not receiving it. And with the rate at which Nigeria has been growing, we ought to have grown to the point that at this time in Nigeria, there is actually a system that ensures the well-being of the aged, that ensures the well-being of the internally displaced person, that ensures the well-being of people who are mentally deranged and all of that. So if at all the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu knows that he will not be replacing the leadership, he will not be bringing back the previous leader of the ministry, that's Betta Edu, back to this position, at least by now, he ought to have replace the leadership so that the ministry can begin to serve its purpose. And the implication of this to the Nigerian people is that it is going to further lead to the number of poor people that we have in Nigeria. You know, before they were saying that the highest number of poor people we have in Nigeria is actually from the north. But if you look at other part of Nigerians now, there are a lot of poor people. Like you would always say, practically everybody in Nigeria is vulnerable. And these are actually the purpose that the ministry is supposed to be serving. So on this note, we'll be going on a quick break. And as soon as we get back, we'll dive into another conversation that will interest you. Still on the morning review. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.